Hi, and Happy New Year. So we just wrapped up the very first Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting of 2026. So that means that there were a lot of kind of formalities, structural things, decisions that were made today's meeting. It was actually an incredibly short meeting. This is like the earliest we've gotten out in a very long time. First of all, so one of the things that we do at the beginning of the year is we appoint a new chair, vice chair, and then we also go through a list of the kind of the committees that board supervisors sit on, and do some reconfigurations there. So I am very proud and honored to say that I am the new chair of the Board of Supervisors. And but before that, I have got to thank Chairman Scott, Supervisor Scott from District 1, who has served as the chair for the last year. And it is so clear if you watch the meetings, you can see that Supervisor Scott is very committed to running kind of fair, equitable meetings, and puts a lot of attention to ensuring that all of the supervisors get a chance to share our opinions and our thoughts and ask questions. And he just tries to ensure that there is a very level playing field as we work our way through the discussions on the different agenda items. It has been a pleasure to watch. I now kind of wish that I had watched him a little bit better and more to take a little notes about how we run the meetings. And suffice it to say that I will be spending my weekend reading about Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentary procedures. Vice Chair is now Supervisor Hines from District 2, so I look forward to being able to collaborate with Supervisor Hines on kind of meetings and moving them forward. And maybe in 2026 we will have shorter meetings. We discussed about the committees. So there's a number of just kind of a supervisor has kind of a reserved seat on a variety of kind of boards or kind of commissions around that in the community. So I will run through very quickly. There were a couple of changes. So first, I sit on the Arizona Border Counties Coalition. I did that last year. I'm going to continue to do that this year. I made a switch. I used to serve, last year I served on the Board of Health. Supervisor Hines is the new supervisor on the Board of Health. So I do want to thank all the members of the Board of Health and the Pima County Health Department for letting me serve in that important body and for all the incredible work that they do. I now sit on the Southern Arizona Education Council, which is both Pima County and Santa Cruz County, in creating and supporting economic or educational opportunities for young people in our two counties. Supervisor Scott will continue in representing us on the County Supervisors Association and the Legislative Policy Committee. He will also continue to represent us on the Chamber of Southern Arizona on their Executive Committee. Supervisor Hines, in addition to serving on the Board of Health, is going to continue in his role representing us on the Pima Association of Governments and the Regional Transportation Authority. And Supervisor Cano will continue to represent us on Visit Tucson. And then there was a new board that has requested representation from the Board of Supervisors, and that is on the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness, and Supervisor Cano will be our representative on that board. We also we took up kind of a discussion that, in fact, I think we discussed this a couple meetings ago, was about adding study sessions to the Board of Supervisors' regular meeting schedule and kind of layering that in so that we would have an opportunity to, kind of in a more, I don't know if it's informal, but just in a different setting where supervisors can actually kind of engage in dialogue and dig a little bit deeper into reports and some of the data that gets presented to us, particularly some of the staff reports around the office around ending homelessness, or our climate plan, the Prosperity Initiative. We often find ourselves just not having sufficient time in a Board of Supervisors regular meeting to just kind of dig into the data and ask a lot of questions of staff, but we feel like we could do what other municipalities are doing, which is having study sessions to do just that. Decisions will not be made in study sessions. They are indeed to help inform us better so that in the regular meetings we are better prepared to make informed decisions. So we agreed to add study sessions. We agreed that they would come, we would have them in the afternoon before, and this is new as well, evening meetings of the Board of Supervisors. So we also agreed that we are going to shift starting in the 1st of May, so a few months out still. We're going to shift from having Board of Supervisors meetings at 9 a.m. And we're going to have them now starting at 5 p.m. beginning again in May. And instead of being the 1st and 3rd Tuesday, we are shifting to the 2nd and 4th Tuesday. That is because the City of Tucson, the Town of Marana, TUSD, the Tucson Unified School District, I think even Pima Community College, so many other municipalities and boards meet on that same Tuesday evening. We wanted to get ourselves off of that schedule so we're not conflicting with others. So moving evening meetings starting in May, 2nd and 4th Tuesday, May sooner, 5 o'clock. Study sessions would start around 1, and those would occur on that first meeting of the month, right, which would be the 2nd Tuesday. That sounds perfectly confusing. But I'm excited about this. The rationale behind this, the why behind doing this was trying to make sure that our meetings are more accessible to the public. Right now, 9 a.m. is not the easiest time for so many people to get to the Board of Supervisors. So this just puts them later in the evening, more accessible. Yeah, so I am very excited about that. We had there were a couple big votes today. So one was a continuation of an item that we heard in December. It is a contract for $45 million with Axon and the Sheriff's Department. Like I said, $45 million. Axon is a company that provides, originally they were the company that provided tasers for law enforcement. They have expanded over the years and now provide data services. They have kind of drone technology that has data services tied to it. They also bring in some of the like AI services that tie in with body cameras and generating reports from that body camera footage. So the item we began to discuss it in December, carried it over to today. Back in December, I expressed a lot of concerns, both about how much money it is. It's $45 million. It's a 10-year contract. We're not even, the only reason we considered this, right, is because I guess Axon brought it to the sheriff and said, hey, we'll give you a good deal if you renew your contract 5 years early. So the current contract with Axon still has 5 more years in it. We're only halfway through their current 10-year contract. So, not to bury the lead, all supervisors, all 5 supervisors are opposed to the contract for a variety of reasons, right? Because AI is not a useful tool in law enforcement. It's too expensive. It's not needed now. A multitude of reasons. It is such a large amount of money, and this is not a competitive bidding process. Was also raised by Supervisor Hines. So we ended up voting to, we all stated that we were opposed to it, and then we just pulled it from the agenda. And so it is, and we gave some directives also, should note, to the administrator. That included a few things, looking at limiting time of contracts. 10 years is an incredibly long time. Looking at sort of untangling the contracts. Axon has a multitude of contracts. within and across departments in the county, and it's actually it's a little confusing, and it kind of feels a bit like Axon in this particular contract was a bit of a shell game, and it sort of seemed like there were multiple contracts that were being bundled together, but they were all on different timelines. Anyway, it was confusing and seemed like it was benefiting no one but Axon. I also asked, because this is a concern of mine, especially in these days where we've got a federal administration that is actively trying to get access to data across in areas that they have been prohibited from getting data from before, including local governments, municipalities, states, and other things like the IRS and Social Security and Medicaid data. So a lot of those efforts, right, that have been where the federal government has been reaching out, trying to get access to data across the country, are being challenged in the courts. So I also asked, I would like to know if we have, not if, we do have data that is being like on Axon servers. Axon is a huge provider of data services to ICE, for example. What happens if even sort of legally ICE tries to get access to our data vis-a-vis Axon, and what are our options to protect our constituents? So all that is to say, you can sort of get an idea of why this was just kind of pulled. But I think we are going to be doing some work to kind of untangle these various services, the way that Axon is kind of playing out and involved in different departments, to just get a good handle on what is and isn't happening, and how to make it more cost effective and clear, and to ensure that protections are where they need to be, and that especially under this administration, that we are really limiting any kind of access to greater surveillance and stealing of our data. We approved today as well the disbursement of 8 grants that are part of the opioid settlement funds that were distributed across the country. They were given to the state, and within the state, each county got a chunk of money. We continue to get some of those settlements from the pharmaceutical companies. So we rolled out 8 grants today. First, though, I want to thank the volunteer committee, the Regional Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee, who spent a ton of time looking at substance use disorder and trying to understand sort of best practices and data-driven practices. And then based on their research, they put out some requests for proposals to organizations, entities across the county, and outlined a process and some goals that their proposals should follow. And the result of that was these 8 proposals. So we awarded funding to the Portable Practical Education Preparation Project PEP in Amato, who does a lot of work through the Amato Youth Center. Grant went to the Tucson Indian Center, to Boys to Men, to Community Partners Integrated Healthcare, Liberty Partnership Community Council, the Haven, and then the Transition Center at Pima County. This is, I think we will continue to get some updates on how the metrics and how all of this funding is kind of rolling out, but the impact that it is having around opioid use, fentanyl use in our community, both from the prevention side and then also the kind of intervention side. And last but not least, we also approved an item from the Recorder's Office that was a contract with the Regional Transportation Authority, RTA, to run their election. There is going to be an election in March to approve RTA Next. So the County Recorder's Office runs that election. It was a contract for $1.8 million to run that election. So that also was approved. So if you have any questions, comments, etc., please feel free to reach out. And thanks for being involved and listening.